Well, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country today. I'm Marilyn Wilson, president of RE Technology, for today's coffee chat. And I hope some of you may have joined us on some of these other coffee chats we've been doing every morning at 9. The whole purpose of these is to help, all of us and work together at this time to learn about really exciting technologies that are available for us to take advantage of. And I'd love to talk to our MLS partners and association partners, which we're doing today, because they have always offered us so many great ways to really be successful realtors, and now is a great time to learn about all those things that they're doing. So we've got Dionna Hall and Kim Hansen with us today from Florida, from the Beaches MLS, and yeah, we're excited to go. So before we start, I'm going to just have you, just wanted to show you on this panel, if you see where it says questions over the right hand side, just click on that and we will answer any questions that you have for you. And we'll do it right, probably right as we're going through the discussion, because we've got a lot of great things to talk about today. And so I wanted to introduce Kim and Dionna, some of the two smartest women I know that are in real estate, and most hardworking and progressive as well. Dionna is the CEO of the Broward, Palm Beaches, and St. Lucie Realtors, as well as the Beaches MLS. And Kim is the COO, and they're a dynamic duo. They've done some great things. So welcome, girls and women. How are you today?
We're great. Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, so maybe let's just start a little bit with what's going on in your market. You're obviously in Broward, Palm Beaches, and St. Lucie area. I'm hearing people say, Michael, that they can't hear us. I'm not sure why. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me? No? Uh-oh. Dionna and Kim, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. Michael will try to help you. Good morning, Tim. We get some people that come in all the time, which is awesome. So we're going to talk about what's going on in your MLS. You've done some really cool things for all the time, but particularly right now. But before we do that, let's just talk about what are you hearing about what's happening in your market, just business-wise. What's it look like down there?
Well, business is still, going on in the South Florida marketplace. I think that when this pandemic first hit, a lot of people were probably paralyzed. There's a lot of information coming up, especially when it came to all the different local orders. So we saw really a good flow of, realtors setting themselves once we had one state order that we could all operate under. Real estate is an essential service, and it allowed them to continue to show following the CDC guidelines. And we were able to get a lot of good information, get some CDC best practices out to them right away. And that seemed to really kind of steady the realtors and kind of, get into how they were going to be productive in this marketplace.
That's great. So I was talking yesterday to Jim Lawson from Terradatum. Some of you guys might know their company. They do agent metrics and broker metrics and basically market stats, and they measure performance in 1,800 markets around the country. And what they've been seeing is interesting, that from last week to this week, they've seen a 20% increase in the number of listings that have been set up. And from last year, this week to, from 2019 to now, they see businesses down, or listings are down about 50%. What are you guys seeing in your marketplace specifically?
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing that looking at February of, March of last year to March of this year. So really looking at year over year, we're seeing that the listing counts are definitely up. Our residential segment is up a full 15%.
Wow.
And it's much higher than that when you look at all listings overall. We're also really fortunate that our brokers and agents are continuing to have pretty strong sales at this point. Looking at February of this year against March of this year, we saw a full 24% increase in sales from the residential side, and 18% when you add all property types. So business is definitely being conducted here in South Florida.
That's so great to hear, because I think, all of us were so obsessed by the daily, new diagnoses of COVID and all of that kind of thing, that I can't help but believe that consumers come away from that thinking, oh, real estate, just like everything else, is just kind of stopped dead in its tracks. And that's not at all what we're seeing, which is great, right?
Yeah, we're
It
really
definitely is. I mean,
our community partners really rallying around real estate as well. We'll get to talking a little bit later about some of our virtual programming, but because there's such a captive audience, not just with our realtors, but the surrounding organizations are really pushing out our information, trying to, I think, elevate the business community, telling them, look, business is being done, it's being done in a different way. Look forward to, continuing the economy over here.
Yeah, that's really good to hear that they're supportive of that, because everybody's got to pull together in these times to help all of us through this. I was actually on a webinar just a couple of days ago with a couple of the largest teams down in Florida, one called Robert Slack, you guys may know them, and they were saying that they, because of the way the kinds of people that get attracted to Florida, that many times for years people have been using virtual open houses and things like that because you've got someone coming in from Ohio or Pennsylvania or something like that. But they also said that they're now seeing great business happening with local people using the virtual open houses and things like that. So tell me about what you guys are doing along those lines to help people conduct business that way.
I think the programming of the virtual open house field was really the catalyst for us to be able to do all of our virtual programming. And we have 2 MLS vendors that, help us operate our systems, and they've been great. It's Flex and also CoreLogic. And they worked at the beginning of the pandemic, day and night to make sure that the programming was there for that field. Around that time, we're also taking down our live open house field. And so it was really important that we offered something to our members while we were taking something away. We know that this is not the time to be taking away anything from our members. And so from that was really kind of where the springboard, I think, of showing all of our realtors that they could operate virtually, and these were the tools how to do it. Kim?
That's great.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we did was we made a really heavy push on educating people, making certain that people understood how to use the technology. We created videos that showed members how to actually go in and use the technology while they're in the house, and doing a good job highlighting the features of the home, how to interact with people through the technology. When somebody says, gee, can you open the pantry door so we can look inside there? So that they're really able to give that kind of one-on-one exposure to the home and the customer. So we found that people really adopted the technology. We trained heavily on it. We've got, we're fortunate, we've got a pretty extensive group of staff, and we were able to put a lot of resource behind reaching out to our brokers and saying, we'd like to teach your agents how to use this and make certain that you guys are proficient in it, you're comfortable with the technology. So we really tried to make certain that people were using it to the full capability of the system.
Wow, that's great. And so now you're seeing that's getting pretty common. That sounds like pretty prevalent.
We really are. Yeah, we're having great success with it. It's exciting to watch, really.
I bet. So is there a place for that training, and is that training just for your members? Like, if there's people on the call that are from around the country that their MLS hasn't done that they could take advantage of your work too?
What we've done is we've created an entire virtual library.
Gotcha.
And the library lives on the website. We also have, we offer the Clarity dashboard. And so we have an online education tab on that dashboard as well.
Gotcha.
And with that, we've more than doubled our videos and our webinar content, taking as much of this live and virtual as we can. We have trainers that are doing real-time virtual training where our members are able to sign up for a class. We're offering the brokers that training as well. Brokers are continuing to have their office meetings, and we're trying to participate in that, make certain that we're really exposing them to the training. So all of that content lives in our virtual library, which is found on our website, ourworld.com.
Gotcha. So one thing I'd love to reinforce everyone that's listening today, and Kim and Dionna are one of the many MLSs that offer this type of thing, but many of you, when you log into your MLS, you'll see what Kim's describing, which is the dashboard, and you see all the logos. It's like a big square, and there's a bunch of different things on it. And a lot of my friends that are agents, I've said to them, so, have you gone into that dashboard that your MLS offers, and have you like sort of, checked out all of those different service offerings that are available there? And most of them kind of give me a kind of a guilty look and say, yeah, maybe not. Maybe I haven't really done that, right? Because we're busy, we do things. So people may, they go in to use maybe their Realist product or their, Matrix or whatever MLS system that they have, but they don't necessarily go and look at all of those things. So my advice to all of you on the call today is just go do that. Because I got to tell you, these guys have in this market specifically, but all around the country, there's some really cool stuff that MLSs offer. And they won't cost you anything other than your normal subscription. And there's CMA products, and there's ways to generate listings and lead exposure and market analytics and ways to do business like online with transaction management. So what Kim and Dionna, what are some of the things that you guys offer, just to give our audience just a sample of what one of the great MLSs does?
Well, we of course offer the full suite of all the different types of training on the actual platform. So we have Flex and CoreLogic. We have it in different languages, which is really important.
Wow.
Well, and it's again, as Kim was saying, it's not just a static webinar that they're watching. It is actually a live event where they can, stop the trainer, ask additional questions. They can kind of hone into where people are getting caught up on whatever they're training on. Obviously, the tax programs are great. We really encourage the members, and we know it from our brokers, are really taking a lot of looks at some of those niche trainings that maybe they never had time to do as well.
Well, and that's the other thing too. And it doesn't sound like this is really going to be a challenge in your market, thank God. But in some markets, people are, looking at every one of their dollars that they're spending because their business is a little softer than it's been. And they're saying, geez, maybe there's some things that I'm spending money on that I can cut back on. And it's probably one of those, it's a good exercise for all of us, probably once a year at least, if not more, to just look at all those automatic credit card charges that come through and say if there's anything we don't really need. But I've heard from other agents, like I say, and for brokerages actually, that say, the MLS offers me so many great things, I'm going to discontinue some of the other programs that I have myself, and I'm just going to, take advantage of the training that Dionna's talking about. And use some of those tools. I'll give you one example. Do you guys have RPR in your market? I think you do, don't you?
We do.
Yeah, so he said that he was using another product, and I don't even remember what it was, but what he did was he created a sort of a light, medium, heavy version of, because if you've used RPR, and if you haven't, definitely check it out. That's one of those ones that's great and it doesn't cost you anything. But there was, he created 3 different versions of it. He created a branded version of the tool for all of his agents. And he said they've used it over and over and over again as kind of like almost like a listing presentation at some level. He said, I've gotten so much business from that tool and it's cost me nothing other than my normal subscription. So, take advantage of this stuff because it really can be very, very helpful. And one of the things that I always like to share with agents and brokers and brokers especially, because brokers sometimes believe that, well, if the MLS offers it, that means everyone has it and it's not unique to me and it really just isn't that helpful, right? And what brokers like the one I just described tell you is they said that's the wrong attitude. The belief should be every tool is only as good as the amount of as much as you understand it and how much you use it and how creative you are about how you're applying it, right? So it doesn't matter if it comes from the MLS or the brokerage or on your own. It's all about how much you take advantage of it. So just for what it's worth, think about that, because these guys have put together in this particular market a ton of great stuff. And again, there's many around the country. Just go into that little dashboard, or sometimes there are links, there's a bunch of links. Just go click on them. You'll be amazed at the stuff that's in there and how much business it can really help you generate. So, so Kim and Dionna, you mentioned a little bit earlier about brokers. So, brokers have, of course, tons of responsibility in general, but right now to, help keep their agents motivated and focused. And, what are you doing to help them through this time right now?
Well, immediately there's so much information coming down. I mean, it's great that the Realtor organization has 3 levels, and it really helps us at this time for, each level, local, state, and national, for us to do what we're best at. So really we can get, great results for our members. But the information coming through for our members has been a lot, and obviously they're getting information from a lot of different sources as well. So we actually went to a newsletter format to try to put that information to them in one place immediately. We also really took, we did a COVID-19 website where we cross-posted a lot of information for references. You know, between the local governments having, you know, their say on what's going on, all the different MLS trainings, and the new programming that we have going on, we just really have tried to streamline that so they can actually digest this. We know that we have more eyeballs than we've ever had before, which is really exciting. You know, it was really awesome to see that we were able to pivot such a large organization so quickly into a virtual world. We've already had probably triple the amount of website traffic in about a 3-week period, and we've had already about 3,000 extra members sign up to our social media accounts. So you can definitely tell that the want is there for the communications. And so our job is to make sure it's really clean, understandable. It's something that they can rely on. Kim and I always remember that, you know, be the source of the source, right? So don't be that person who's making up that information. Make sure that, you know, you're referring to these groups like the CDC or who have you that are looking at this information, making sure that it's updated. So the numbers content possible.
So we have a question from the audience from Maha, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Where can I get access of the good market stats for my board that Kim mentioned? So the idea of the, you know, you're talking about how the listings are up and business looks stronger. Where do you find that?
You know, in our market, Florida Realtors has fabulous market statistics. They're extremely detailed by specific areas. They're extensive, they're thorough, and I think our brokers benefit heavily from being able to utilize that resource. I can't speak for every state association, but we're fortunate in the state of Florida. Our association, or in Florida, for one thing, the e-notary was something that the rules were adopted in January of this year. That's been very beneficial. Florida has a fabulous legal hotline that our agents have access to as well. Like I said, there's statistics.
So Tracy is asking, and I think you guys are a good example of the types of things MLSs are offering. I'm not sure if Tracy's from your market or not, but what are some of the, you know, and we call them free, they're not really free, right? You have to be part of the MLS to get them, but what are, just give them some examples of the kinds of tools that are available through the MLS that they can use in their business.
Wow,
I know you guys have a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we offer a transaction management system that really is included with their MLS subscription, which is very heavily used, especially the brokers, to get everybody on board. We have the e-sign program that's also embedded in that. As Kim said, with the electronic notary, that has really helped kind of springboard that. Kim, you want to add on?
Sure. One of the tools I think that our agents really do well with is a tool called eProperty Watch. And eProperty Watch allows a realtor to stay in touch with their clients. So for instance, you sell a home and then you sign that person up using the eProperty Watch technology, and it automatically prompts them about real estate updates within their neighborhood, their community. So now they're notified that another property within the community came on market. It's, you know, it's seamless for the agent to interact with the client, because really eProperty Watch does the heavy lifting in communications for them. I think another one that we have great success with is My Condo Plans. My Condo Plans is a tool that it includes the entire condo complex, and it'll talk about the amenities within that complex. It shows floor plans of individual units. You know, it can say that the property is northwest facing. It lays out the actual floor plan. It talks about, you know, what are the HOA? How many units are there in that complex? Are there 350, and are there you know, 20 for sale? So it really drills down on the stats within that specific project.
That's great.
We have free IDX in our market, which is something that boy, that's been really beneficial, because you know, powering the broker website for the eyeballs is really an important component of the broker business model.
Yeah, those that don't know what IDX stands for, it's Internet Data Exchange, I believe, right? But it's kind of a fancy way of saying you get all of the actives, pendings, and solds from the marketplace that you can put on your website, right? Gotcha. Okay, good. Okay, let's see. What else do I want to ask you about? I'm just looking at the questions here for a second. It sounds like people are very interested in what kinds of things that you offer. Lewis is asking, does the association provide monthly activity reports? And Lewis, maybe you want to clarify, do you mean about listing activity and sales activity? I think that's probably what he's talking about, but is there something, or is there a way, if let's say that I'm in a a particular part of the market, I'm just in St. Lucie, for example, can I get reports that narrow it down a little bit more to areas that's closer into my market?
Yeah. So each report is released by county. So, St. Lucie would
Okay.
be a county. And then we also do it by zip code. So they can go
Great.
in city report. So they can dig in pretty deep. When statistics, when MLSs first started offering statistics a while ago, it was, from more of just a county standpoint. And we actually had layered in some other companies in between what was being offered by the state, because we need to augment that further than just the county statistics. And so since that time, obviously, I think, the world has kind of caught up. And so our state organization does offer all those different types of statistics now, where we haven't had to go to different vendors to kind of piecemeal it together. But I mean, obviously, it's one of our emails that we send out every single month that has one of the highest open rates for our members, because everybody wants to know. And then we make sure that we send our different cross markets each other's statistics, because here we are a very contiguous marketplace. And so, people are doing business in areas that they don't necessarily. So I will share that information, which is very helpful.
Well, and another thing that we do is that we're fortunate that we're a reasonably sized association in MLS, and so we've got some resources, and what that means to the members is that we're able to really heavily train on how to use the tools. There are more statistics inside the actual MLS platforms. It's a function of really knowing how to use and pull those statistics that are meaningful to whatever segment of the market you might be active in. I mean, you can break those stats down to where they're very, very specific and really just a micro segment of a market. So we train on that is another thing that we really try to focus on.
Well, that's the other thing that why I love to have the smarties like Dionna and Kim on these, because again, your market, and maybe this isn't true, and in many other markets, it's not gone. It's definitely slower than it's been historically, and this is a great time to think about getting comfortable with these kinds of tools, right? Like examining what is available and trying them out, and kind of practicing them right now. And frankly, people have a lot of forgiveness about, even if we mess something up right now, it's kind of like, yeah, it's all right. We all know we're a little on the edge. It's all right. But once you do that, and we've been talking to a lot of brokers and very successful top producing agents, and that's what they're saying they're doing right now, is they're taking this little bit of extra time they might have and getting even more comfortable with the tools that are available through their MLS or through their brokerages. So when this does, kind of open up, and with some markets are feeling like there might be sort of a floodgate that's going to open, right? Because there's a lot of pent up demand, you're really ready, right? So it's not really about, it is about right now, but it's really also about preparing yourself and taking this little time, where we have a little time to breathe to take advantage of all of these things. Because I can tell you that Dionna and Kim and many of their board and leaders in the MLSs all over the country spend a lot of time and energy trying to find tools that make sense, right? That they know can help everyone. So it's a great opportunity now to just, take advantage of all those. And it sounds like from what I'm seeing on the questions, there's a fair number of you that are newer, maybe into real estate or into working with associations. Like, check them out, because they've done some great stuff. So one question for you that just came in, Kim and Dionna, is what are you guys doing to help with listing exposure and generating leads? And what are you seeing right now in terms of the numbers of leads that are coming through?
Well, one of the things that we have done is we have had before, once a quarter, a open house, basically day, and we've done it, where we have marketed to the consumer and in newspapers and done a lot of different things. And so we took this opportunity where we're all, living in this virtual world, to do a virtual open house, and not just a weekend now, a week. So we've been advertising virtual open house week, and that's going to take effect next week. And then we put together a lot of really great tools, because I think a lot of us, we knew that the tools were there to do things virtually, but who really had the time to go into those tools? And if we didn't really need to, then we weren't using them. So we've taken a lot of time to walk through for our subscribers on how to use these tools. So for the virtual open house week, what we did was we first started with really, walking our members through about how to use this virtual open house field. There was obviously a lot of questions about what is the difference between a virtual open house field and your usual static tour that you would post on the MLS. Then from there, we walked them into the virtual open house field. So there is a slide possibly that you have there, Maryland, where it shows that what we've sent our members is, first we're going to set up their live
stream. I can show that if you want to see it.
Yeah, sure. So first what we're going to do is we're going to have them
like this one? This one? Next one?
Keep going. I keep going. Yep, there we go. So what they're going to do is they're going to set up their live stream, and that obviously sounds really intimidating, but we have some resources there on how to set up that live stream, and they can use really, the choice of their platform, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Google, Zoom. From there, then we talk about scheduling their virtual open house and what that means and how to do it in their respective platforms. Again, our subscribers have a choice between Flex or Matrix, so just make sure that they are understanding how to use this tool depending on what platform they're operating in. And then they're going to go into marketing their virtual open house. And we put together a lot of different graphics for them to send out to the consumer. And then we partnered with Votify, which allows them to customize the graphics as well for their marketing.
Awesome. That's great.
Marketing. And again, it shows them, how to use these and where to use them. And then finally, we're going to syndicate this virtual open house website out for them. One of the things we added this was we partnered with a lot of different community groups for them to push out this virtual open house. And so the chambers or economic development groups, pretty much anyone who is doing business, we reached out to, and everyone actually has accepted this, and they're cross-promoting it. Just this morning, I've seen all their newsletters where they're saying, hey, look, the Realtors are doing this virtual open house week. The graphics are clean, well put together. Be a part of this, make sure you're checking it out. And people are just kind of looking for something new to do. I think we've all read how there's more consumers looking for houses right now, whether they're ready to buy or not, than ever before. So to capitalize on the fact that we have this attention of the consumer, I mean, how cool is it that you can look, through these houses that, maybe you didn't have the time or what have you. So we are seeing a lot of positive feedback for that. It's giving our, realtors a great time to approach their sphere and talk about this opportunity for them to still kind of, get into the market, even though they might not physically be able to do a showing.
That's
and to make it easy for agents, to make it easy for agents to really promote that offering to their clients, we built a microsite, virtualhousesearch.com, that the agent can push out. That it's a searchable site for consumers where all of those open houses live, and the consumer can look. And again, that goes back to why this event is a week, because virtual open houses with as many as we anticipate having, you can't do it all in a weekend. They're real-time live events.
Kim, what's that URL? I'm going to put that in the chat for everyone. What is it again? Virtualhousesite.com?
Actually have it on slides.
What was that?
Virtualhousesearch.com.
Housesearch.com. Okay, so everybody check that out. That's pretty neat. And
yeah,
again, if
you get such an easy to remember URL out there, so it really kind of rolls off, for different groups who are voting as well.
That's awesome. And I know if any of you haven't checked out yet, there's another set of fun tools from NAR called the Right Tools Right Now campaign. I don't know if you've seen that. But there's some training in there too about if you just don't even really understand how to do a virtual open house. I know you guys have a lot of great stuff, but they've got one there too, just for another set of resources for you to check out. So, everybody's trying to help in any way that we can to help, realtors figure out how to do this. But I have an interesting question for you guys while we're talking about this. So, there's a lot of talking right now about, well, this is our new normal and what does that mean? But, the other conversation sort of about the next normal, right? Do you guys think that this whole concept of virtual open houses and more virtual selling and all these virtual approaches are going to stick? Do you think we're going to stay with these once we get out of COVID?
I think for different marketplaces, it's going to work. As you said, the people who are out of state, we have a lot of people from the Northeast who are really in South Florida, great tax advantages here. There is obviously beautiful weather, a lot of different things going on with a variety of lifestyles that are very attractive to people who want to move here. So, why not use a virtual, tour to look at the marketplace instead of, coming down here physically, especially if you're busy. And then there's the international marketplace. The international marketplace, they buy a lot, obviously in this marketplace. A lot of times they don't see actually what they're buying. They use other methods. And now that they have this virtual open house where they can be walked through, even though some of these tools were available before, maybe the realtor was not comfortable using them. And so now they are getting used to using them. They really can make sure that they're using this stuff to help their clients find their next home.
Yeah, I mean, some go ahead, Kim.
Live webinars with thousands of attendees, and the feedback that we're getting is that I think there's some people that are always going to want to do the in-person training, but a lot of the feedback that we're getting is that people really enjoy and appreciate the ability to attend these live trainings, interact with the trainer in a real-time live format from really the comfort of their home. Right.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Florida and other markets where, sometimes there's a lot of traffic and it's, not always easy to get around town. I think it can make sense. And we have a question from Barbara that said, if you post a virtual tour on Flex MLS, like what you're just showing us, does it go through to all the other sites like Zillow? These are paid for virtual tours, trying to find more ways to promote professional video. So does it pass through? Does it go into your feed that would go to Zillow or Realtor.com or all those other places?
So we have two fields in there. The virtual tour field is a field that definitely does syndicate, and the big portals have built a field to accept that data, display that data. They're in the process now of building the virtual open house field. From what our team tells us, the virtual open house field is a little bit different than the virtual tour. Virtual tour is a recorded event.
Right.
And virtual open house is a live event that when you first put the link in for a virtual open house, it's a future event. Just like, people had the link for this event that you're holding right now, Marilyn, but the event wasn't live until in our neck of the woods till noon today. So they're really different fields. But yeah, I think the syndicators are very anxious to participate in that.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think Zillow might be ready to go, and I've heard the same thing from Realtor. I think they're close. But yeah, it's because wouldn't it be nice to attract people from all of those different websites? Just like you guys are talking about doing such a great job of cross promoting it in the local community, it would be great to have it in the national community. We've had a couple of questions about websites that we've been talking about. So the first one is virtualhousesearch.com. I put that into the chat if everyone wants to see that. That's where this is all going to be hosted. And then I mentioned the Right Tools Right Now from NAR. That put that link in there too. It's actually nar.realtor and then /right-tools-right-now. So that's another fun application for you to take a look at if you would like to. Well, it looks like you guys are doing some great work. I'm really, really happy to see this. And again, if you're from this market, definitely feel free to, try to take advantage of this if you can, because there was a question that just came in from Lisa, and she said, is anybody keeping stats on how many homes sell due to someone watching a virtual open house? This is all happening in such real time. I don't think there's anything about that yet. Have you guys heard anything? Or is there a way for you to track anything about, how much virtual open houses are going to help people?
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're going to challenge our team to look at that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great idea. And I can tell you some anecdotal things again that I've heard from some of the some top teams in Florida that have been doing this for some time, and that you guys mentioned it. With international clients and out of town clients, the virtual open house concept has been it's been around because they didn't want to have to fly down or fly over to to come in. But what I'm hearing from is that just even in the last several weeks and maybe even the last several days, I don't know, I feel like we're all living sort of in dog years right now. It's kind of, every day equals a week and every week equals a month and every month equals a year. That's what it feels like. But they said that they're seeing more and more business being done and that consumers are getting more and more comfortable with the idea of doing virtual open houses, which again, when you think about the future, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to drive someone to 30 houses? You could maybe show them 30 or 5 online, and then you'd only have to take them to the 1 or 2 they really liked, right? I mean, this potentially creates an efficiency in a way for a consumer to get really comfortable and frankly not waste their time or yours, right? So I think we're hitting on some things here that could make all of our lives a little bit easier down the road, and still, to your point, Lisa, I think more and more people will start to get comfortable with this whole format. But what do you guys think?
I think that you're definitely right. I mean, if I was a consumer, and especially considering, almost everybody works these days, why would we want to go see, 30 houses if we didn't have to? Why would we not narrow that?
Exactly.
I think that I think that the realtor through this process has really shown the consumer, again, how valuable they really are to the transaction. I mean, you really have to have a realtor in order to be doing any of this stuff right now. And so I think that that's really one of the good things that's come through this pandemic, is to, remind the consumer that you do need a professional to help you through the home buying process, and you need the tools that they know and have access to.
And Melissa just said that she just sold a home to a couple in Connecticut using a Matterport, so using a 3D tour, not even a live tour. So it does work, right? And Renzo says it'll take some adjustment from the consumer, just like when e-commerce started, but boy, we seem to have wrapped our arms around that, right? So yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that we're going to be doing this. And again, if you're in this market, definitely take advantage of all this promotion that's happening. Or they're creating some really great energy for you to really be able to take advantage of this new format. And one of the things that I would say too, as soon as we get near the topic, a lot of times in video, and Kim and I were actually laughing about this morning, we all kind of feel like we have to be perfect, right? Our makeup has to be perfect, our hair has to be perfect, we have to have a professional videographer to do this, and it's like everything about it has to be kind of scary and expensive and complicated, right? And what's really great, I think, about what we're seeing that you guys are doing, and that we're starting to see many other people do, is we're kind of becoming more real, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. What the consumer wants to do is, like you say, Kim, open the door and look in the pantry. Doesn't matter that it pans perfectly, right? It means that, what does it look like? How big is it? How much food do you think I could put in there, right? These are questions that aren't that strategic, right? But they're important when you're trying to figure out if this is a home that works for you or not. And so if you hear the word virtual or video and you immediately go, oh, I'm afraid, I don't know how to do that, I would say just give yourself some grace here. Even doing coffee chats, if the thought of me doing one of these every single day for 3 weeks in a row, 2 months ago would have been like, are you kidding me? There's no way I could do that. I'd be too afraid to have to do that, right? And it works if we're real and we're honest. And to your point, Kim, or to Dionna, is we have to help them understand why we're indispensable, right? So one of the things that I'm hearing a lot of is agents are calling or emailing or texting their clients. And maybe you guys can tell me in the questions if you guys are doing that too. But wouldn't it be great if you knew someone that was close to wanting to sell their home, but they were afraid, to show them something like this and say, wow, you know what, we've got this. Like we have figured it out, that it's not going to be exactly like it always was, but we've got this, because you know what, we're realtors and we're tough and we're resilient and we're creative and we're entrepreneurial. We're going to help you do what we need to do. And all of those things are true. Realtors are tough and they are entrepreneurial, which I think is great. Let's see. Okay, here's a question from Tracy. If an agent cannot leave home and want to do virtual open houses and has a professional video, can they participate in the virtual open house weekly? That's a question for you guys.
So if they have a recorded video, a pre-recorded, no, this event is a live event.
Okay.
We definitely have the virtual tour fields, and like I said, those do syndicate, and those are available to consumers. But this event is really intended to be that real-time interaction between agents and clients. Now, I will say that some of our members, what they're doing is they're taking the video that we've put together, and it shows really kind of how to walk through the home, how to highlight specific features, and they're having their sellers do that, practice, and then they're actually part of that live event. kind of co-marketing, co-talking it, co-hosting it
Got
with
it.
the seller. So they're not leaving their house. The seller is actually the one that's kind of doing the walkthrough. And quite frankly, sellers know their homes pretty well. So they're able to
Exactly.
highlight some of that stuff. I would recommend that you dry run it with your seller a time or two, make certain that we kind of got the flow down. But I think that that's, you know, that's a pretty awesome way to do this.
Yeah, and again, it sounds very intimidating for, you know, maybe the homeowner, but these are scheduled tours that you're doing. So, you know, they can really control about, you know, who they want to have, how many they want to have, how big is the group. So there is, you know, a good amount of control that homeowner and realtor has on this.
Well, and Tracy too, if you're, I'm not sure what market you're in, but one thing I would suggest too is you check in with your state association and your local association and your local MLS on the rules about what you can and cannot do, because those things are changing every day, sometimes more than once a day. And so sometimes there's now disclosures available where you can actually talk to the homeowner and say, you know, if you sign this disclosure, and that it would just be me coming in the home and not anybody else, that's allowed in some cases. So you might want to check and make sure that you might have a little more flexibility than you think too about actually getting in there. And Jerry, let's see, Jerry had a great idea for how you could track this. He said, perhaps an MLS could send an email to the realtors right after closing as to how they obtained the sale. And one of the options could be the virtual open house. So you could start to see, even if it was, you know, we all know it's hard to know exactly what it was that got someone to come to the home. But if that was the first time they saw it and they ultimately bought the home, that would be an interesting way to check and see, you know, is it from the internet? Is it from the open house? Or what are the ways that they're getting to it? So that's an interesting thought. Good thinking there, Gary. Okay, I think that's it. We got a comment saying, thank you, Marilyn, for pointing out the dashboard and going to check that out. I can't recommend that enough. Just, you know, go for it. Just click those buttons. Like, it's not hard. Give 10 minutes and just click a few buttons. I guarantee you're going to find something in there that you did not know the MLS offered you that can be helpful in your business, because they're all helpful to your business. You just got to find the one that works for you. So let's see. With that, I think we are good to go. Yeah, I think we've got tons of questions. I think we answered all of them. So thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. Thank you, Dionna and Kim. That was awesome. Very, very helpful. I'm going to just show you a couple of things that are coming up before we go. So next week, we've got a full week's worth. The first day, on Monday, we've got DocuSign coming in. The Director of Partner Development is going to tell us all about how to streamline your virtual transaction. There was also a question earlier, which we didn't answer, about earnest money transactions online, and that's something else that we're going to have somebody in the next week or so talking about. Then we have Teresa King-Kinney, who's from the Miami Realtors. She's going to be talking to us on Tuesday. Then we've got Colleen Doyle from NAR, who's going to be talking to us all about that Right Tools Right Now campaign that I was just describing to you. So if you have interest in learning about that, I would highly recommend you check in with her, because she's going to, there's new things getting added to that all the time, so she can give us the latest. One of them, which is really interesting, is there's a free subscription to a telehealth program. So, you know, hopefully none of you have this problem, but if someone in your home does get sick, that's part of the program that NAR is offering right now, which is awesome if you don't have access to that any other way. And if you want to learn more about these, go to our YouTube channel, which is RE Technology Inc., and you can log in and you can subscribe. And then if you push that little, see that little bell there, if you make that red or blue, then you'll get a notification every time a new recording of one of the coffee chats is out. So you'll be able to keep track of those and watch them whenever you want. There's also if you go to our channel again and click on this link, there's a place where all of them are in one playlist. So you could just, if you're crazy enough to binge watch coffee chats, feel free to do that. And then also, I'd love to, if any of you that do not currently have subscriptions to RE Technology, if you go to retechnology.com, click on the create account, which is right below the search bar, and then you put in one of these coupon codes. We'll give you the entire access to all of our webinars, our product information, success guides, a whole bunch of things, and you'll get that all free for 3 months, or free for 3 months. So COVID-19A for agents and COVID-19B for brokers. So with that, I'll check out today. Thank you so much for everyone that attended. Dionna and Kim, you were awesome. And thank you for what you're doing for your members and your realtors. I'm speaking on their behalf, but I'm sure they appreciate it. And everybody have a great weekend. And we'll see you back here at 9 o'clock Pacific on Monday. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.